So what do you do when the world around you just seems to be falling apart? It's a tough question, right? Do you jump in and try to fix things, even if the odds feel impossible? Or do you step back, to protect yourself and what you believe in? This isn't a new problem. People have been wrestling with this for thousands of years. And today, we're going to dive into how the great philosopher Confucius faced this exact massive dilemma.
Okay, so picture this. You're Confucius. You're traveling all over, trying to give rulers good advice, trying to bring some order to the chaos. Then all of a sudden, this character known as the Madman of Chu runs by your carriage, and he's singing this strange, urgent warning. He calls you a phoenix, a noble bird, but says your virtue is declining because you're messing with a corrupt world. He's literally yelling, "Give up, the path you're on is a dangerous one." What a way to start your day, huh? Now, this wasn't just some poetic flourish or a guy having a bad day. The madman's warning was a direct reflection of the brutal reality of the time. We're talking about a world in absolute, total chaos. I mean, think about it. In that era, trying to be a person of integrity and also serve in the government, that was practically a death sentence. The whole social and political fabric was tearing apart. Rulers were far more likely to punish you for being honest than reward you for it. Being a good person put a target on your back. And if you want a perfect example of the stakes, just look at the story of the three benevolent men of Yin. One of them, the Viscount of Wei, saw the writing on the wall and just got out of there. He fled. The second, the Viscount of Qi, was literally enslaved for his principles. And the third, Pai Khan, was executed because he dared to tell the truth to a corrupt ruler. So your options were run, become a slave, or die. Not great choices for anyone trying to do the right thing.
And look, this wasn't just a problem for politicians. The crisis was so deep, it sparked a massive brain drain. The state's best and brightest were leaving in droves. The grand musician took off for one state, his buddies for others. Even the drummers were literally crossing rivers and seas to escape. You know things are bad when the artists, the very soul of a culture, are running for the exits. It's a sign of a total internal collapse.
So, faced with all of that, what's the logical thing to do? For a lot of people, the answer was pretty simple. Just walk away. And that's the first path we're going to look at, the path of withdrawal.
And this brings us to this really interesting figure, the recluse. These were people like our Madman of Chu who took a long, hard look at all the chaos and basically said, you know what? This is a lost cause. Their solution was to completely withdraw from it all, go live a quiet life of personal integrity, far, far away from the mess of politics and power.
Now, the motivation here is absolutely key. This wasn't just about saving their own skin, though, who could blame them? It was deeper than that. It was about protecting their moral purity. They truly believed that if you engage with a corrupt system, one of two things will happen. You will either become corrupt yourself, or you'll be destroyed. The only way to stay good was to stay out.
But Confucius? He saw another way. He championed the total opposite approach, the path of engagement. He was committed to trying to fix society no matter how broken it seemed.
His ideal figure wasn't the recluse. It was who he called the gentleman, or junzi. For the gentleman, personal purity isn't the ultimate goal. The highest goal is fulfilling your moral duty to the rest of the human community. You have an obligation to get your hands dirty and try to make things better, even when it's dangerous, even when it seems completely hopeless.
But, and this is a huge but, that doesn't mean Confucius was naive. He wasn't about to serve just any corrupt ruler. There's this famous story where a duke receives a gift of dancing girls and gets so distracted he ignores his official duties for 3 days straight. What does Confucius do? He just packs his bags and leaves. The difference is so important. He didn't abandon the world. He abandoned a ruler who wasn't worthy of his service, always looking for one who was. So here we have it, the two paths laid out, a real fork in the road. On one side, you've got the recluse. Withdraw, protect yourself, and accept that the system can't be saved. On the other, the gentleman. Engage, fulfill your duty to others, and keep searching for a way to make a difference. These are two fundamentally different answers to the exact same broken reality. And this whole conflict, it wasn't just some abstract debate. It got very real, very fast, in these amazing face-to-face encounters when Confucius's philosophy went head-to-head with the recluses.
So the story goes, Confucius sends his disciple to ask two men plowing a field for directions. Turns out these aren't just any farmers, they're recluse, and they know exactly who they're talking to. One of them, Ni, lays down this sharp challenge. He's basically mocking Confucius, saying he's a fool for running from one bad ruler to the next. Why not just run away from the whole rotten world altogether?
When a student reports this back, Confucius's answer is just profound. One cannot associate with birds and beasts. What's he saying? He's saying to withdraw from society is to withdraw from what makes us human. His entire identity, his purpose, is tied to being part of the human race. If he abandons them, who is there left for him? This is the absolute core of his philosophy.
Yet, Confucius was no hardliner. You can see from his assessments here that he had a really nuanced view. He could respect certain recluses who withdrew without compromising their ideals. He had different opinions on others based on their choices. And then, at the end, he says of himself, "I, however, have no preconceptions." He's flexible. He's not trapped by a single rigid rule. He judges each situation as it comes.
So where does all this leave us? Well, the final, most powerful insight in this whole dilemma, it doesn't actually come from Confucius himself. It comes from the hard-won wisdom of his most loyal student.
In another story, that same disciple, Tulu, meets yet another recluse, an old man who basically calls him a fool for following any master at all and says he'd rather just weed his garden. Tulu leaves, but something about it sticks with him. He reflects on the encounter, and it's like a light bulb goes off. He finally understands the tragic but also incredibly noble core of what his master is trying to do.
And here it is. This might be the most important takeaway of this whole story. The gentleman takes office in order to do his duty. Why does he do it? Not because he thinks he's going to win, not because he thinks he'll succeed. He does it simply because it's the right thing to do. And the kicker? He knows all along that it is hopeless. The effort is what matters, not the outcome.
And that's the whole ball game right there. Duty over outcome. For the Confucian gentleman, the moral obligation is to try. It's about fulfilling your duty to your fellow human beings, even when you're staring failure right in the face. The responsibility is in the action itself, completely separate from any hope of success.
And so, this 2,500-year-old question comes right back to us today. When we face a broken system, maybe at work, in our communities, or in our politics, where does our greater duty lie? Is it to ourselves, to protect our own integrity and keep our hands clean, or is it to the world, to engage and to try, even if success seems completely, utterly hopeless?